Story time about how I was underage in a predatory polyamorous relationship voluntarily. I don't even know where to start, so I'm gonna just start at the beginning. I'm not gonna be naming any legal names in this story time, so let's call the guy Kane. So Kane is 10 years older than me, and at the time that him and I started sleeping together, I was 16 and he was 26. Now, this relationship lasted for a while without being discovered, probably a few months shy to a year. So when my parents finally found out about the relationship, I decided that I was going to run away from home, which is how I ended up getting pregnant, not with Kane's baby. Of course, due to how I got pregnant, I didn't tell anybody, and I was honestly under the assumption that the baby was Kane's. So boom, here comes the fucking drama. I know it was drama prior to this, but boom, here comes the fucking drama. Might I add, I am not calling Kane a predator. My therapist did. But boom, 16-year-old me, almost 17, pregnant. So I'm a few months into my pregnancy. At this point, my parents know, my step-parents know, and I'm living with my mom at this point. And I would go off with Kane to live with him for weeks at a time, to spend time with him, because obviously he couldn't stay with my mom and I was underage, so I couldn't move out. So one of the weeks that Kane comes to pick me up on the weekend, he comes driving someone's car that I know. And I know this person from when I was living with my dad. And Kane had brought this female around. Let's call her Kate. Kane had brought Kate around, but I didn't think anything sexual was going on between them two because I was 16 years old. And at that point, like I said, I thought I was the only one. That's what he made me believe. So Kane comes to pick me up in Kate's car, and he proceeds to take me to Kate's house. And he told me that we were going to be staying there because he was house sitting for Kate for a while. So we stayed at the house, and when it was time for him to go and drop me back off, I started to put two and two together slowly. I remember exactly where I was when I confronted him about whether he was sleeping with somebody else or not. I was in the driveway of my parents' house. Here I am pregnant, sitting in the car, talking to him, trying to figure out whether he's sleeping with Kate or not. And I guess I'm not asking the right questions because his narcissistic ass was not answering the question directly. And when I finally asked, "Are you sleeping with her? Are you sleeping with Kate?" he answered. So I'm crying because he has confirmed that he has been sleeping with Kate, and I'm asking him for how long because we're together and he's cheating on me. And he informs me that him and I were never together and that we were not exclusive, so it wasn't cheating. Come back for part 2. So I'm guessing at the same time, Kate was putting two and two together and realized that him and I were sleeping together. She had been going through his phones, reading our messages to an extent, so I'm assuming she kind of put two and two together. Might I add that Kate is around the same age or a little bit older than Kane. And Kate has a son and a daughter. I can't say that Kate knew that he was sleeping with me while I was underage, but it was apparent. It was there. The evidence was there. Now, at this point, Kane has already said that it's either both of us or neither one of us is going to be in a relationship with him. Kane had took me to look at a property 2 hours away from where we lived. Come to find out, Kane was looking into purchasing this property so that I could move in and that Kate could move in and he could force us into a polyamorous relationship. He told Kate that she would be moving in with her kids, and he told me that after I had my baby, I would be moving in with my kid. But he didn't tell us that the other party would be living there. So I wake up one day and I have a message from Kate on Instagram. Anyways, so now me, 17 years old, I have beef with a grown-ass woman because her and I are sleeping with the same guy. I don't know whether she was trying to be my friend to get information out of me or what exactly she was doing, but because she was older than me and had kids, she was trying to give me advice on parenting and mothering and saying that she wanted to be there for me because Kane cared about me, just on some really weird shit. I have beef with this grown-ass woman, and the end months of my pregnancy were filled with that. So the baby is born, I have my baby, and everybody starts to notice that the baby does not look like Kane. I'm in the process of taking my hair down, but before I put out a part 3, I just wanted to clarify a few things. Where in those videos did I say that I didn't hold myself accountable for the part that I played in the situation? 10 years old, no, I didn't think it was wrong, because the only thing that I wanted to be was loved, protected, and cared about, and that's what he did for me. My frontal lobe was not fully developed, so no, I didn't think it was wrong. And let's just talk about that. The whole you need to hold yourself accountable thing, when I was 16 years old, is wild. When he was a grown-ass man. Like, let's cut the shit. Not once did I say who came on to who. He came on to me, actually. Not once did I say any of that. But y'all are making assumptions, and y'all look stupid as fuck. Because y'all weren't there. I was. This is the last time that I'm even addressing stupid ass comments like this. I will be deleting them. I'm just trying to do a story time. And y'all are jumping to fucking conclusions and making assumptions about shit. But without further ado, here is part 3. At that point in my life, I was going through a lot of shit. I had already knew that 9 times out of 10, the baby was not Kane's because of what happened to me. But I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to accept what happened to me or accept the fact that I was carrying that person's child. So Kane and I decided to do a DNA test. The DNA test obviously came back that the baby was not Kane's, but Kane decided that he was going to be there for me and the baby and raise the child as his own. This was after I was honest with Kane about how the baby was created, and he informed me not to go looking for this person. Now, within our relationship, there were points where I just couldn't take it anymore, and we did end up separating. And on those breaks, I did have relationships. I was in a relationship with somebody, and after that person and I broke up, some things ended up happening with my family, and Kane decided that I was going to move in with him. I'm not going to go into detail about what exactly happened with my family, but some things transpired, and I could no longer stay with my mother, and I could no longer stay with my father. Kane was already living with Kate at this point. And when everything transpired, I called Kate and I told her about the incident that had just happened while I was at my father's house. And Kate came in the middle of the night, and Kate picked me up. And from that point forward, I was living with Kane and Kate and her 2 children. I went and got my things from the place that I was previously staying at and moved it to Kane and Kate's home. My family was not in agreement with it. My family did not like it, but at that point, there was nothing that they could really do. So the relationship that I had with my father, the small relationship that I had with my father, dwindled away before it could even prosper. Kate did not really want to be in a polyamorous relationship. I cared about Kate, not in a sexual way, but as a sister. And I wanted to see her prosper, and I wanted to see her thrive. And I started caring about her because Kane cared about her. So at that point, again, Kane had told us it was either he was with both of us or he was with neither one of us. So Kate decided that, again, she was going to be in a polyamorous relationship and make it seem like she cared about me. And I went for it. Now, this is when shit takes a turn. Everything was good for the first few weeks of the relationship. But slowly but surely, Kate started to do things to try to turn Kane against me. And me being completely oblivious to the fact that Kate did not really care about me, that she just wanted Kane, and that's why she was pretending to care about me, I didn't see it until it was too late. And throughout this time, Kate's children and I started to form a bond, and I started to care about them as if they were my own children. My son had been sick several times prior to me moving in with them, and they were all things that were from a certain demographic that I was not. So I could not understand what was happening to him, and as a mother wanting answers, I decided that I was going to at least try to look for this person that got me pregnant. But nothing ever came of it until one day I was in town and I saw him going into a parole office. I followed him in, but I lost him, and I thought that was the end of it. So my dad and I decided to hire a private investigator to investigate this person. And turns out this person was a registered sex offender with several priors. And I was not the only person that he had done this to. So now the illusion that I had created in my head about, oh, I was the only person, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, had disappeared. Now, Kane did not like this at all. Kane did not like the idea of me going out to look for this person. Kane did not like the idea of me trying to replace him as my son's father. And even though I reassured him multiple times that that was not what I was trying to do, he still felt that way. And I'm pretty sure Kate was in his ear telling him something along those lines as well, because Kane had the same problem with Kate and wanting her kids' biological fathers in their lives. I just woke up, I'm getting ready for work, but part 4. Where I come from, the father has to be on child support in order for the mother to receive government assistance. High school dropout, I needed government assistance, so I applied for it. But some of the programs that I applied for, the father had to be on child support, so I made an application to put a person that I had never met before on child support. After Kane expressed that he didn't like it and that I didn't need to put him on child support, I tried to cancel it. But the state had already picked the case up, so there was nothing that I could do at that point. That's a key factor, so keep that in mind. Now, throughout this time in our relationship, Kane and I were not doing well, and my mental health was not doing well either. My mental was not doing well because I had to face yet again that this incident actually happened to me, that I wasn't the only person that it happened to, and that maybe if I had spoken up sooner, the things that happened to this girl wouldn't have happened. And at this time, Kate started to notice that Kane and I's relationship was not that well, and that's when her plan came into full motion. I don't remember exactly the things that she used to do because there were a lot of things, but I do remember that they endangered my son. Sick a lot, and when he would get sick, he would throw up profusely. He wouldn't be able to lay on his back because if he threw up, he'd choke. Both pissed off at me about something, and they moved to a different room. They moved her 2 kids and themselves to another room, left my son in his crib, and left him on his back. When I came home, he had throw up all over him, and I was pissed. Because they were angry at me, they decided to endanger my son's life. Anything could have happened. He could have choked on his throw up, etc. Events transpired that led her to feeling like I was trying to hurt her, that I was trying to kill her, that I was trying to take her out. When indeed the only person I was trying to take out was myself, because at that point I felt like my son would be better off without me. I felt like my parents would be better off without me because I felt like a shitty daughter. Kane and I are on bad terms at this point. Kate and I are on bad terms at this point. And I decide that I'm going to delete myself. I decide that I don't want to do this anymore. So I go into our medicine cabinet and take all of the opioids that we have, which was codeine. I think that's opioid. I'm not fucking sure. But my body did not react to it in the way that Kate thought it should react to it. I had tried doing this prior, and I was a pill popper. So, like, when I tried to do it, I would do it by trying to take pills. My body did not have a reaction to it. I didn't throw up. The only thing that happened was me getting extremely, extremely dizzy. At that point, Kane had called my stepmom and my dad over, and they were all trying to get me to throw up. They were all trying to get me to pretty much get the medicine out of my system, but it would not come up. The next day after everything happened, Kane and I went on a really long car drive to talk about why I felt the way that I felt. And before we left, Kate had pulled us both to the side and said she felt like I tried offing myself to get attention from Kane and to take the attention away from her. She said she felt like I really didn't feel the way that I felt and that everything was for attention. Mind you, I was self-harming at this point, so nothing that I did was for attention. It was simply because I felt like my kid would be better off without me and that my family would be better off without me. I ended up going to the hospital and getting the help that I needed, and while I was there, Kane told me that Kate said I wouldn't be able to come back into their lives because she feared for her children's lives, which was crazy. I had got out the hospital. Kane and Kate had already brought all of my things, well, almost all of my things over to my father's house, and that's where I began to live for a little bit. And that's part 5, the last and final part, because Kane and I's story kind of starts to shift into me finding myself as a woman and realizing that this situation was not what I needed or wanted. Around the time that this was happening, I did not have any fucking motion. I wasn't doing anything with my fucking life. So our communication had ceased to exist until a few months later, and then we started talking again. Him and I were still sleeping together off and on, and I was still trying to convince him to have a relationship with me and not have a relationship with her, but that didn't work out. I ended up going to another state to go to college. I ended up going to Mississippi to go to college, and while I was in Mississippi, Kane had told me that he had got Kate pregnant. So with Kate being pregnant, I decided that I was going to move on with my life. I decided to get married and start trying to join the military. Now, me joining the military did not happen until I got back to Texas, because me joining the military in Mississippi just wasn't working out. In between the processing and the recruiters, it just wasn't working out. So when I got back to Texas, a day before I had signed my contract, I went to him and said, hey, if you want to be with me, if you love me, I need you to make a decision, because I'm about to leave, and once I sign this contract, that's over and done with. And he told me he needed time to think about it. That was enough for me. I decided the next day that I was going to go sign my contract, and that's exactly what the fuck I did. My contract, I had a going away dinner. He did not come, obviously, because I didn't want him there. And then I went to basic training, and throughout basic training, he had tried to send me letters, but I never got them because the person he had got the address from, he got the address wrong. And I'm grateful for that, because if he had gotten the address, maybe he would have talked me back into being with him. And I had decided to move on with my life, and now the new challenge in my life was figuring out a way to get full custody of my son, because the state of Texas had gave the person that assaulted me some custody and visitation rights, and divorcing my now ex-husband. I do not talk to Kane anymore. I definitely don't talk to Kate anymore. The whole situation was weird and fucked up. They do have a child together. As I stated, she did end up getting pregnant. But that's not my business. I don't talk to them. I don't have anything to do with them. Kane used to check on me every now and then, but now it's non-existent.